Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Attleboro School Committee for Monday, February 9th. I will call us to order at 6:30 p.m. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As a reminder, this is your notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. The first item on our agenda tonight is a spotlight of Thatcher Elementary School, and for that, I will turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Lori Regan.
Thank you, Chairman Geddes. Tonight, we're honored to have Thatcher Elementary School students and families and teachers with us. They are going to be sharing how they are in the process of building a unified champion school community, and they are welcome to join us at the podium right now. So, Mr. Rich.
Give me a second. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Regan, and thank you to the school committee for allowing us to come share with you one of the really amazing things that we have going on at Thatcher that we've been starting about a year and a half ago-ish, somewhere in that range. I couldn't be more proud of the work that our students and staff have done to help us work towards becoming an official unified champion school. We're incredibly proud of our work. I'm honored to be joined by some of our faculty and students and families as well, who are going to share with you the impact that this programming has had on them. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Henry and Danny Rendell, who are spearheading the program, first of all, and they're going to walk us through the rest of the presentation. So, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Rich. Good evening. My name is Ryan Henry. I'm one of the PE teachers at Thatcher Elementary School. I first wanted to start off by thanking the school board committee meeting tonight, our central office staff, also Mr. Rich and Mrs. Desitel. Mrs. Desitel couldn't be here tonight, but for supporting us truly throughout this program. Going into it, I wasn't really sure which route it was going to take, and I knew at the end of the day, whatever we did and the effort that we put into, the support was going to be behind us at Thatcher. Joining with me tonight, we have Danny Rendell, a PE teacher, colleague of mine at Thatcher. We have Kathy Lutz, the Director of Special Olympics Inclusive. We have 4 amazing 4th grade students who are going to share some of their experiences through our unified activities this evening. And we're excited to showcase our effort that we put into it. Okay, so I'm going to just hand it over to Danny Rendell. He's going to talk about a few things moving forward.
All right. So my name is Mr. Rendell. I'm the other PE teacher at the school. I'm very fortunate to be working with Ryan Henry here. He's very humble, but a lot of this came from Ryan Henry. He is really the backbone that put all of this program together. I would say about a year and a half ago, like what Mr. Rich said, Ryan has a special young man in his life. Shout out to Brody, by the way, if you're watching right now. That is a special needs, and he was involved with a unified basketball program. Ryan's also our head JV basketball coach here at Attleboro, so basketball has a true special place in his heart. Well, he went to this basketball game, and that particular school had just a massive outgoing of unified sports, and they were actually nationally recognized at the basketball game he was at. There was awards assembly and the whole enchilada. So he came into the office next morning, he swings the door open, and I was already in there. He says, "Danny, Thatcher is going to be a nationally recognized unified school." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know exactly what that means, but I am 100% on board." And next thing you know, the ball starts rolling. We're kind of spitfiring ideas off each other, which, is nice to have a PE teacher that's so compatible and passionate. The same that we both work together very well. So next thing you know, we're meeting with Mr. Rich and Mrs. Desitel, and it was actually Denise Larrabee was the regional director. She came up to the school and met with all of us, and we were just fully on board. About a year and a half later, here we are with you lovely folks kind of spotlighting our program. So with that said, we are very fortunate to have Kathy Lutz here today. Kathy is the director of the school initiatives, And she drove all the way from Marlboro, by the way, to be here with us today to talk about Unified. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit about Unified, and then we're going to move on to our students. So thank you again, Kathy, for coming up and being so supportive of Thatcher.
Of course. Well, thank you all for having me, and I am so thrilled to be here. It really is truly an honor and a privilege. And so really, I won't take long. Really, the students are the stars of the day. We'll clap out for our students. It is true. I am the director up at Special Olympics. Our main office is in Marlboro. Denise Larrabee is our main point of contact here for the schools in Attleboro region. But the Unified Champions School program is a national program. So if you go to Iowa, you'll see some of the same tenets and anchors and pillars there. Students also there celebrating and having fun. But very much the movement is about getting students with and without intellectual disabilities together, and that's what we call Unified. And so here in Massachusetts, we have 450 schools participating in this way, from ECC, elementary, middle school, high school, college, and then beyond in our community. So what a thrill and honor it is to see you in this space. The energy is electric from these gentlemen. You could not get here alone. So please recognize the efforts of Mr. Henry and Mr. Rundell. We'll do a little smaller version than the students, but it's my pleasure. Congratulations for making this a priority in your community. The stories you're about to hear are very transformative, so open your hearts and minds, not that you wouldn't. Enjoy. Thank you all for having us here. Thank you, Kathy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. And in order to meet some of the Unified requirements to become a national Unified, was actually just in the last slide there. It talks about the 3 pillars that you need to meet. And those 3 pillars are unified sports, inclusive youth leadership, and whole school engagement. And you know, going into it, I thought, okay, we need to make sure we're, meeting these requirements in order to, and we're kind of going through some of the things that we did at the school, and we're like, wow, we kind of already have a lot of this stuff going on. Now we kind of just need to put it all together and brand it and organize it a little bit more than what we kind of have in front of us. So one of the first things I thought about is how can we create the unified sports at the elementary level? And I did attend a couple different unified basketball games, and I know we have that here at Attleboro High School, which is a terrific program. And I said, okay, how can we really do that at the elementary level? So instead of kind of taking that big jump right away, I said, well, let's start with something a little smaller. And one of the first things we decided to do was a unified walking club. The unified walking club is what we did during the month of October. It took place Tuesdays after school. And what was so nice about it is we had about 20 fourth grade students, we had 18 Insight students, and we had 20 different support staff. The support staff came through our administration, teachers, paraprofessionals, service providers, all of the different types of staff that we have in the Thatcher School, and we couldn't do it without every single one of them. So going into it, I wasn't really sure when we sent out a sign-up form that went home to see the interest. I said we might have one kid sign up and that might be it, or we might have all of our students. So we wasn't going into it really sure how it was going to take off. And for that number of students, it was perfect. And we want even more, and we want to continue to grow that program. And it was just a fresh start where the students came in after school. We came into the gym. We did some little stretching. We walked around our campus, different routes each Tuesday. Luckily, we got some really nice weather throughout that Tuesday after school. And sometimes we had a little extra time before the parents and guardians came to pick up, and we spent a little time on our playground. And the friendships that were made and the inclusion that was formed throughout our students, and the smiles, and just seeing students interact with each other and smile and celebrate differences is just, it meant so much, and it's just such a life learning opportunity that our students were able to experience. And we continue moving forward. We'd like to run a couple more of those throughout the school year, and then kind of grow that sports section as well. We have some ideas that we'd like to, start implementing next year, but kind of just to kickstart, that was our Unified Walking Club. The goal was to really promote inclusion and build friendships and form friendships and celebrate differences. We have, on the next slide, we have a small video of some pictures that we have. Yep. Yeah, so that was one of our things for our unified sports. It's an opportunity with some pictures and really showing, you know, the enjoyment a lot of these students had. It was just something that was so simple, was awesome. So another unified sports aspect I'm going to hand over, and Mr. Rendell is going to talk about.
All right, the other aspect is Special Olympics, which, as you guys know, was held here at the Attleboro High School for years and years and years. Unfortunately, there was something that came through as COVID. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not, but that kind of knocked that out of the way. And actually, again, Mr. Henry, being humble over there, didn't really say anything, but he was like saying to me, we got to get this back. We got to get the Special Olympics back. As you know, Thatcher houses all of our Insight students and sub-separate students in the district. I think we have over 60 of them at our school. And we needed that program. That was why this whole program has come together, is because of the need. Now, Special Olympics is a true community-wide event. We have the police department is there, we have the fire department is there, our student council is there, and actually our student council, we run through what's called a meet and greet, where our students, like these 4 amazing students right here are part of them. We had them meet and greet our Insight students, which was, we went through like a scavenger hunt, went outside walking around, and it was a time for them to just meet each other. And again, Mr. Henry and I weren't sure how this was going to go. The kids took over. They took over the whole thing. You know, for example, Abigail just walked over, grabbed someone by the hand, walked him over there, introduced herself, and just started the scavenger hunt and just started on her own. And the kids just kind of blossomed, and they were kids, being kids, helping each other. And we have a motto at Thatcher called Friends Helping Friends. And it really just, it worked perfectly. And that was before Special Olympics. So the day of Special Olympics is all about our Insight students. The entire day is dedicated to them, where we did tie-dye shirts prior to that. I'm not sure we're going to do tie-dye shirts again, by the way. That was a really great idea, but holy moly, tie-dye was a lot. So we did that with the students, and then our staff. The staff came in, and we had an after-school tie-dye time where the staff bought shirts. We tie-dyed them together. Say that 5 times fast. And it, again, just brought a sense of community and a sense of like belonging. So on that particular day, our Insight students and the staff and the parents all wore the tie-dye shirts with the different colors of the classrooms. We had a full parade where the whole school lined up and held different posters and different banners up for our students, and did like a silent cheer, not to have too much noise disruption, you know, for those students. But the whole school lined up. Our art teacher made banners for the kids. Mrs. Dixon, if you're watching, shout out to you for making the banners for the kids with all the handprints. And as they walked outside, then all the families were there. So the families also made a tunnel, and all the kids walked through them, and it was just magical, and lovable, and really nice. That was how we started. Once we got to the event, I think they went through 7 different events. You'll kind of see some pictures of what the different events were. And our peer pals, or our students right here, walked through all the different events with them. The police department were there, the fire department, huge props to the Attleboro Fire Department and Police Department. They were there in their full gear, and on that particular day, this past year for Special Olympics, it was hot. You never know in New England what's going to happen, and that particular day it was hot. And our police department and fire department just went above and beyond, whether it was holding a sponge over a kid's head, walking with them, or actually swinging a t-ball bat with them, or racing. The fire department was racing the kids up and down the field which was really nice to see our students working with those particular entities in our community. Towards the end of the event, after the event was over, we had a medal ceremony, which was sponsored by our PTO. They paid for all the medals, and actually our PTO paid for the T-shirts and the tie-dye too, which is shout out to Dana Walker and our PTO. They went above and beyond helping and supporting this program. So our Special Olympics couldn't went any better whatsoever. Our kiddos over here are going to talk a little bit about that, but we do have another video that we put together for those kids that weren't able to make it today that were actually in the Special Olympics.
Thank you, Ms. Rendell. There's two other pillars. I'll try to make those ones a little quicker than the unified sports ones because I think we're all here for our students and not so much me. But some of the nice things that we have going on to me, our pillar at Thatcher is our youth leadership pillar. A couple things that we launched and started at Thatcher, one of them being our lunch bunch. A lunch bunch is an opportunity where students are eating lunch with their Insight students, and it's just something that's so simple, but really goes a long way. Just getting to just talk right about, you know, what are you doing today? What's your name? You know, what are you eating for lunch today? And just building those bonds. Something else that we're doing, we started at Thatcher, is a Readings Buddies program, where we have our 3rd and 4th grade students. And really shout out to the teachers with the collaboration to organize something to go into, they send a couple students into each Insight classroom and read a social emotional learning story. You know, it's something at 10 to 15 minutes a week, and something that those, you know, everybody's going to remember. Another thing that we do for them is a unified recess, where we have all of our students during a recess playing together, and whether or not we organize an activity for them, or if it's something as simple as pushing a friend on a swing, or just walking around the field with them and interacting. Those are a couple of the examples what we're doing right now at Thatcher in our youth leadership category. Our next pillar that we have is the whole school engagement aspect. With the whole school engagement, I had an opportunity in the beginning of the school year, thanks to our administration really accommodating and making it work. I went into each classroom through our school and did a quick 5-minute presentation in the beginning of the year of really just what inclusion is, and you know, how you can just be a kind person. And you know, because it's one thing to talk about including friends and being so inclusive, but to really understand it is something different, and to support it and show it. So we also had a banner we received from the Special Olympics. That was a pledge that the students signed, and the banner says, "I pledge to spread inclusion by." A lot of students at the 2nd through 4th grade came up with some examples of how they would spread inclusion throughout our school. In kindergarten and 1st grade students, and our Insight students just signed their names. So that was an awesome banner that we have as well. Another thing that we do during our Special Olympic week, we do something starting this year called Kindness Week, and it's kind of like a week-long Spirit Day. So each day is we're celebrating differences and different Spirit Days, and leading up to that week and that special day.
Thanks, Mr. Henry. All right, so it's time for our kiddos over here. And before they speak, they're great. These kids they're amazing, and you're going to hear what they have to say. And I want you to know that as much as Mr. Henry and I, you know, coach them and help them and prompt them, we can't teach kindness. We can't teach empathy. We can't teach caring. We can show them and give them the tools to do it. But these 4 students in particular, just they got it. They got it going on. They have all those qualities and more. Is one of the reasons, for the reasons why they're here in general. So there's all 4 of you guys can come up here right here. We have Abigail, Cece, Anna, and Mason, 4 amazing 4th graders. And we're gonna let Abigail go first.
Hi, I'm Abigail Oliver, or you can call me Abby. I am Miss Ryder's 4th grade class. Tonight I'm going to talk about the Special Olympics Walking Club and Lunch Bunch. I had so much fun in these activities. My favorite part about Walking Club is that I got to walk with them, exercise, and get to know new friends in different classes. One of the friends I made and walked with was Manly. We had so much fun on the playground together. It was such a good feeling to share my experiences, kindness, and to include others. For Special Olympics, one of the strongest connections I made was with my friend Isaiah. When we did Special Olympics together, he was in Insights 3. He learned and grew so much, and I'm proud of him. My favorite thing we did together was Drip Drip Drop. Drip Drip Drop is like Duck Duck Goose, but with a sponge. I had fun teaching our new friends how to play while laughing and cooling off together. The last activity is Lunch Bunch. During Lunch Bunch, you can sit with the Insights or Project Success. My favorite part about Lunch Bunch is you get to meet new friends. Next year, I hope to meet more of these friends because I had so much fun with the friends I've met so far. I am proud to be a role model because it is a great feeling to include all of our Thatcher community and to accept everyone as they are. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.
Thank you, Abby.
Yes, and right. Remember, nice and we'll tell you, okay? Yep. Hi, my name is Cecilia Guzzi, and I love school. At school, I get to learn new things, see my friends, and do really fun activities. One of my favorite things is going to Lunch Bunch. At Lunch Bunch, I get to eat with my friends, talk a lot, and just have fun together. That is my favorite parts of the day, and I really love going to Lunch Bunch. I also got to do the Fracture Olympics, which was really fun. I did events like softball and learning to play games like Zip Zip Drop. It was so much fun. And we share everyone on I love to share. Guess what? I got a medal. I was really proud and happy because I love getting medals and I'm my best. Guess what? I got a medal.
Nice.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I would like to tell you about the Walking Club and the Special Olympics at Thatcher. First, let me tell you about the Walking Club. I had a bunch of fun with my friends I made on the way, and their names are Eli and Miles. Now, let's talk about the Special Olympics. First, I made some great friends such as Malik, Ollie, my brother, and more. It makes me feel proud to share my kindness with others, especially friends who need some extra support. My favorite activity in Special Olympics is Drip Drip Drop. My friends and I got so wet with the sponge. I love to share my energy, love of learning, and having fun with others. I love being a role model and sharing my kindness with all our friends here at Thatcher. I felt great helping other students with different needs. Thank you so much for listening.
You nailed it.
Hi, my name is Mason and I'm in Miss Bassler's 4th grade class. I'm here because I would like to share about the good times I've had in the walking club and working with others in my school. I liked exercising with friends who need a little bit of help and making connections with friends such as Ricky and Eli. One memory I loved was playing with Ricky and sliding down the slide with him and supporting him. Thank you all for listening and have a great night.
They nailed it. Way to go, you guys. That was perfect. That was really great. We do have one more special guest. It's the Mr. and Mrs. Waru and Uncle.
What do you say?
Just joking. Just joking.
A little friendly joke.
It's one of our Insight students. We have Precious and Aiden are here, but Aiden just stepped into the bathroom. So while they're coming up here, just all of the support that is needed comes from families and moms and dads like this. So, we can only do so much at the school. We were only at the school for so many hours. So to have support at home just means everything. So no further ado. Well, just wait a minute. Okay. So while I got the microphone. Okay. Is looking ahead? Okay. So Mr. Henry and I, like he spoke before, looking at it, have all kinds of aspirations for this program to move forward. The Walking Club was just the beginning, and to see how successful it was really just mind-blowing to both of us. It was better and exceeded our ideas, and the program itself did. We're back. We're gonna have them come up and talk. Thank you.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is John Warui, dad to Precious Warui and Aiden Warui. Both of my kids go to Peter Thatcher Elementary School, and I'm here with my wife, Grace Warui, and my brother, Job. I'm so grateful, together with my family, for this opportunity that we've got to come and present before the school committee. And thank you, Peter Thatcher, for inviting us. I'm here to speak about the great thing, or to share the great things that we can take from our unified program. It has really been a good experience since the time my kids participated in a unified program. And I'm gonna be speaking about Precious, who to her we say it was a turning point, because she started doing a lot of good things that before she was not doing. Precious was in the walking club in the last fall. This program gave her an opportunity to interact with her peers in a supportive way together with the staffs. Through the walking program, she enjoyed being part of the group. We could tell Precious, our daughter, is nonverbal, so she cannot come and tell us. But we could tell every time we went to pick them up on Tuesday, after the day, like on that day's Tuesday, and she was so excited. We could see her connection with the kids that were there to support her, bringing her to the car, and the staffs. That really meant a lot to us. She also gained interest in doing a lot of things that she was not doing. Like, we have two kids who have two different preferences. Precious loved being indoor, Aiden loved being outdoor. So to us, it got a little bit confusing because Aiden want to go out, Precious doesn't want to go out. But during and after the unified program, Precious could even request on her AAC device want to go out. In the community, like in the church, she could engage with other kids in a lot of activities. During that time, we noticed significant growth and change in Precious, becoming more or liking to do a lot of things. Her social skill improved. She became more interested, as I said, like in the church, wanting to go out. And a good example is sometimes she was kind of like fussy, like she was, out of control. And I took her out for a walk, and she was fine. And me and my wife, we were thinking of like, oh, Precious now it's kind of like loving going out more than before. Also, this program had a positive impact, not only to Precious, but to the entire family. We saw those photos, some of them that have been shown on the screen, that were sent to us. And seeing her feel included, valued, and accepted brought us peace in our hearts. We felt supported knowing that the school provides space where she can belong. The program reduced some anxieties that we parents with special need kids have. Because sometimes we're enclosed in a cocoon of thinking and a lot of questions like, can she fit in the community? Like when she go out there, how are other people going to treat her? But for us, we saw like a different picture, like seeing those pictures really meant a lot to us. And we felt a sense of hope and excitement. For Precious, inclusion meant being welcomed without being judged and being able to participate along her peers. Connection looked like walking with friends, as we saw in those pictures. It meant peers recognized her. You could tell when they're holding her hands and walking together, they encouraged her and celebrated her achievement, big and small. As parents, this program meant a lot because it was just beyond academics. Teaching acceptance, kindness, and understanding, while giving Precious opportunities to grow socially and emotionally. It helped her build friendship. We could see it. Self-confidence and sense of belonging. Things every child deserves. Knowing that she's included and supported makes a lasting difference in her development and happiness, which brings a lot of joy, great joy to us as parents. Some of the most meaningful things or moments was seeing Precious being happy when picking her up, knowing that she had a blast. She had a great moment in the walking club. Also seeing her being comfortable around her peers when we are picking her up and the teacher. This moment may seem insignificant to some people, may seem small to other people, but to us, it represents a huge milestone. Moment of connection, confidence, and joy that shows just how powerful inclusion can be. And we take this opportunity to thank the school for that idea of unified program. We appreciate as parents. In Swahili we say, asante sana, or unified program, hakuna matata, no worries. Thank you so much.
I think Mr. Warui should have went first, by the way. That was really great. That was really great. Just kind of to wrap things up, Mr. Henry said the thank yous before, but I just want to reiterate that with thank you again. Thank you for the support. It's so nice to have a couple of teachers came out here, Miss Bassler, Ms. Ryder, and Mrs. Gordon right down here to support our kiddos. Actually, Mrs. Gordon really went above and beyond helping our kiddos with the speeches, with their writing, with everything out of her planning period. She took time out, so thank you, and thank you. And I can't go enough about Mr. Rich and Mrs. Desitel. Not only did they help us with the PowerPoint, but a lot. Actually, Mrs. Desitel, thank you very much. I know you're watching right now. Every time Mr. Henry and I have an idea, and we have a lot of ideas. Some of them are great, some of them aren't so great, but we bounce a lot of things off each other. And we'll call, or just stop and we'll pop in Mr. Rich's office real quick and we'll sit down and we have another one for you guys. And before Mr. Henry and I even finish talking, Mr. Rich and Mrs. Destel always say, "We love it. What can we do to support you?" And as teachers, that's all that we want is support for programs like this and other programs that we have going on. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Thank you for spotlighting us. Appreciate it. Lori and Dave, thank you guys so very much. That's about it. Mr. Henry, Mr. Rich, give our kiddos one more round of applause. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave you with one thing that teachers are going to say. This is a program that Mr. Henry and I are passionate about, so don't be surprised if we come back on our hands and knees of looking for funding, because adapted equipment is expensive, and every student has their own individual needs, and that's why the program is continuing to change, throughout. So again, thanks you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations and thank you to the students. You guys can hang tight one moment because I think the committee might have some questions and comments for you. Is that okay? I don't mean to make you nervous. You guys already did the hard part. You're in good hands. So thank you, Thatcher. I know this spotlight has been on the docket for a while and has been bumped around our schedule, so I appreciate the flexibility and was excited to finally get this program in. At this time, does the committee have any questions or comments for Mr. Larson?
Sure. Kids, you guys did great. You really did. You did fantastic. You did a great job. So thank you. And to the staff, thanks for bringing the spotlight to us. It's an amazing program, and really appreciate hearing about it. And you guys did a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Thank you.
Mr. Frappier?
Yes, as the elementary school I have the most exposure to, I'm consistently impressed not only by the students, but the families that take part in everything. And thanks for all staying, doing a late night and joining the committee tonight. We really appreciate the presentation. And Mr. Henry, that's great. You're bringing Unified down to the elementary school level. I didn't know that was even an option. So really excited to see that.
Me neither.
Thank you, Mr. Frappier. Mr. Bennett?
Thank you. Thank you, kids. You did a spectacular job. I've probably been on the school committee for just a little over 2 years, so I've sat through a fair amount of these spotlights, and this one has moved me in a really powerful way. When you said that you didn't have to teach them compassion or empathy or love, that's what it's all about, right? And teachers with ideas and kids loving and caring for each other and being willing to connect with each other is really the heart and soul of what we do here. So thank you very much for bringing this in, and I really appreciate you people. Thank you so much, and you did a great job. You did a great job. Right.
So when sometimes, remember at home, my brother's way taller than me, and then guess what? He's way tall because he's 90%.
All right.
Nice.
Well, that's going to be good for your basketball career. Right on.
CC's the best. You're the best. We love you. You are the best. You are the best. But have any other further questions?
Yep. Ms. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Geddes. Just a comment. I have a few teenagers in my life who are part of the early education CTE program who do placements at Thatcher, and I have gotten consistent feedback from these individuals how impressed they are with the sense of community and the kindness that all the students have towards each other. And I just wanted to applaud the kids and the staff for encouraging and supporting these wonderful students who are our future.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Yes, we did.
The one thing I will say is I think throughout the comments tonight, whether it was from educators, students, or family, I think we were able to develop a pretty strong definition of really what inclusion is. Acceptance, kindness, understanding, belonging, being welcomed without being judged. So this to Mr. Bennett's point, there were some very moving themes. At some point, if you guys will have me, I'd love to come play Drip, Drip, Drop. That sounds like a lot of fun. I prefer it be a hot day, not on a day like these days where I'd walk outside and be frozen immediately. But congratulations again to the students, to the team at Thatcher for all the work you do. Thank you very much and congratulations. And thank you to the families for all of your support as well. Before the families leave, we do like to give an opportunity, if you would like to come around to inside the table to get a photo of the students as from where they were presenting, you are welcome to do that now.
Absolutely. Come on up.
Please do not be bashful.
Me?
She was so excited to be on TV. She was. Thank you, guys.
Pleasure.
That was great. There you go.
Congratulations. Thank you all again. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of the meeting if you'd like, but I'm sure you all need to get home and get ready for bed. Thank you and congratulations again.
Write that over here.
Great.
I came up with it in my team.
Okay, really nice job.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
It's so bad because it.
As folks are heading out, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is our Student Advisory Council update. And for that, I will turn it over to Representative Ayesienga.
So first off, in terms of athletics, we wanted to offer our congratulations to Connor Bull and LD Rodriguez for achieving 1,000 points in their basketball careers. Connor was also the Student Athlete of the Month for January, alongside Reagan Bono for gymnastics. The boys basketball team won the Kelly Rex Division Championship, and our boys track team also won the Hockomock Championships last week, and the girls placed 7th. Our girls gymnastics teams also placed 2nd at their Hockomock Championships. And then for student life, this week we are hosting our talent show, The Bombardier Crown, and it's going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. We have a lot of great acts, and we invite all members of the community to come out and support the students. Tickets are $5, and they will be sold at the door. Our Black Student Alliance is also preparing for the Multicultural Festival in March, which teaches our students about various different cultures of the ages. Students here. Our CTE program. So we have environmental science. Their students met recently with Mr. David Rollins of the Attleboro Sustainability Commission to discuss ways that students could work with the commission on several initiatives, including composing and writing articles for the commission's quarterly newsletter. And then also in our cosmetology program, we have more and more seniors who are reaching their 1,000-hour mark and qualifying to go sit for their state board test. And then we are also working and planning our out-of-school field trip to go work in different salons in Mass and see what the environments are like and what our careers could look like after graduation. And then for arts, our drama club has begun rehearsals for their festival act, and they go and compete against high schools in the Massachusetts area.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions or comments? Mr. Domenici?
Just a quick one. First and foremost, congratulations to all the athletes who are celebrating milestones and to all the teams. If I recall, I think it's the 4th year in a row that the Attleboro boys track and field has won the Hockomock.
Yeah, they were very good.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Coach Whitefield and his crew for the amazing work. As a former track and field runner, you wouldn't believe it now, but once upon a time, I'm thrilled just to see how well that sport is thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report, and for that, I will turn it over to Superintendent Sawyer.
Thank you, Chairman. I have 3 updates for the committee this evening. The first is follow-up from last Monday's presentation, during which the question was raised as to whether or not our position in funding remains the same with respect to the rest of the state. As I tried to explain, that's the deciles in terms of where we rank in funding is not something that DESE publishes. You have to calculate it with the data that is available. And so I was asked to do that, and Ms. Perella was nice enough to dig in on that, and I wanted to report back to the committee that it was as I indicated I thought might be the case, which is that for percent above net school spending, Attleboro remains in the bottom decile, right, the 10th decile. That has not changed, and that reflects, our number being at that, 102% roughly number. But for per pupil expenditure, as I said, I thought might be the case, SOA, the Student Opportunity Act, has raised per pupil expenditure in the district into the 85th percentile, putting us in the 9th decile. So it is no longer the case that we are in the bottom 10% for both. SOA has raised us to the 9th decile for per pupil as a result of the extra funding that comes with SOA, especially, I would say, for English learners. Is those funds made the difference in that calculation. So that is where we stand now, and we'll try to remember to calculate that with some regularity.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. And is so being in the bottom 20% isn't necessarily better than being in the bottom 10%, at least not notably. So is there, in terms of like actual rankings across districts, like is that going to trigger a whole other?
I'm not sure quite which
out of the 351 cities and towns and the variety of public school districts, regional or otherwise, where although we're in the bottom 10%, we're still in the bottom 10% for percent above net school spending. But as far as the per pupil expenditure having moved outside of that bottom 10%, where
it's roughly the 85th percentile, so whatever 15% of 350 is, I guess we can figure that out mentally.
Any questions?
45, is that close?
Somewhere in there?
Somewhere around there. I think that the deeper point is that when you're at the edges like we are, the gap between where we are and, average or the median, or again, as I demonstrated with the presentation on Monday, even our neighboring communities, the gap still remains enormous. The distance between us and where we were is minimal, and where we would like to be or think we should be is still great. That hasn't changed.
Any questions regarding funding follow-up from last week? Mr. Bennett?
Just want to make sure I get the terms right. So when you say we're in the 9th decile, that means if the bottom decile is 0 to 10%, right? So we're in the 10 to 20%?
Yes.
So more, okay, I just wanted, so it's about 15, we're in the bottom 15% as far as per pupil expenditure. And that What form does that SOA funds take? Are those direct grants, or how does that
It's
translate?
built into the formula, so it just comes out in the foundation budget.
Oh, okay, so the foundation budget increased because of the SOA, so basically, but that does that change the city's contribution? It goes up and down with that, or how do those factors play?
So they calculate what our budget is, and then based on a different calculation, they determine each local contribution.
Oh, all right, so
they
they're not
figure out
supposed
your
to be
number,
connected.
and then they
They
figure out the split.
They figure out what is the minimum you can spend and still have a school system, and then what can the city afford to come up with out of that pile?
Correct.
Right, okay, fair enough, thank you.
And I would say that the state doesn't necessarily decide what the city, the state doesn't take into account what the city can or can't do. They just take into account what they expect the city to do. Any other questions or comments?
My second item relates to enrollment. In digging into some numbers and trying to better understand, how things played out for us in this particular year and what to expect in future years, we were really trying to better understand why enrollment dropped by 76 students, because that, cost the district $1.3 million in funding. It's in a world where a couple $1 million is the difference, that a third of that number is right there, and just in terms of enrollment, wanted to better understand that. And I was quite surprised to see that if you are just not using the enrollment number that comes out of the October 1 Sims report to DESE, which includes a lot of different factors. If we just look at our enrollment in terms of students in the schools, right, and you compare this October to, so October 25 back to October 24, the number of students, you would expect, with us going down by 76, you would expect a number to be somewhere close to that. The delta was actually 3 students. The two numbers from October of 24 to October 25 only went down 3 total students. So in a district of 6,000 kids, the number of children in our schools is almost identical, which matches, well, not matches. It certainly helps to explain why we were caught off guard by the dip in our overall enrollment for the foundation budget, because the lived experience in the schools is that we have as many kids as we always do. That's why we had to report out when we saw that number pop. We did so without anticipating it, because it didn't make any sense. So the real question becomes, well, then where are the students, or where were the students that are no longer here? And we're still trying to parse that out down to the last student, but by and large, these are students that we are given credit for, but don't actually attend the Attleboro Public Schools. So a big chunk of these are students who go to Foxborough Charter. So if you go to Foxborough Charter, you're factored into our enrollment number, but then we have to pay Fox. There's a credit that goes to Foxborough as a result of that. Of those 76 kids, about half of them are a reduction in Attleboro's contribution to the enrollment at Foxborough. So it's not clear to us whether that means that those kids left Foxborough Charter School to go to like private school, or left Attleboro, because we don't know who they are. We don't have that information. Or whether they came back to us and replaced students who went someplace else. But the fact of the matter is that that 76 students all are from a pool of kids that we get credit for in terms of the calculation, but don't actually attend school every day with us. So that helps to explain why it wasn't visible to us and why we were surprised by it. And it just, I think, helps to demonstrate that, this is a very complicated thing, school funding, right? That, we lost $1 million on funding for students that we don't know who they are and didn't notice that they weren't with us because we never saw them, right? That kind of a dynamic is just part of what makes this the challenge that it is. And, I certainly understand how that factors into the formula, and I'm not saying that, that's wrong or anything like that, but it just, It just demonstrates that there's a lot that's going on in that formula that really isn't about necessarily us educating the kids that are in front of us.
Any questions? Mr. Bennett?
I'm trying to unpack that. So there were, for round numbers, 35 kids who don't go to Foxborough anymore. Or there's 72 kids or so who don't go to Foxborough anymore?
35.
35, okay. So, but we're no longer paying Foxborough for them.
Correct.
Right, so, is it really is it $1 million loss, or is there money offset on the other side that we didn't?
There's less of a credit that Foxborough is getting, so, but that comes out later. That's not factored into the budget number, right? The budget number is just the number of kids, and then you get different amounts of money for different, students in different populations, right? We get half the money for a preschool kid, and we get a certain number for K and a certain number for elementary, and then it's a different number for middle school and a different number for high school, and then a different number for CTE, and then you get extra money for English learners, and you get extra money for students who are designated as low income. Then they give you a straight percentage on special education because they don't want to incentivize adding kids to special education. So they just give you a number on that based on your enrollment, regardless of how many special ed kids you have. And so all those different numbers get thrown into this total number. But part of what they're calculating is your total. And some of those kids, aren't actually kids that attend our schools. And then from that, the city has to pay Foxborough, and they get to take credits for that. But that comes in later in the process.
So that money comes out of the city's coffers, and then there's a charter school reimbursement or something that comes back to the city for that? So it doesn't actually affect the schools, whether those 35?
Well, it does affect us because, in some years, there's a huge amount of money that comes out of that first number that we, got from the state. The credit they take comes out of that. So that, if that number's big, that hurts. If it's small, it hurts less. So, we haven't got to that stage of the budgeting process where we sit with the city and hear what their calculation of what all the credits are. But historically, the credits they're taking are roughly the same as the transportation budget. So, give or take, that is where it all ends up.
I don't want to belabor the point, and I probably will never fully understand this. I don't know if anyone does. But it does seem like arbitrary and capricious that 72 kids we don't know moved or they don't go to the schools anyway, and that costs us $1 million. Like, I really feel like we should understand that. Like, I think you do, probably better than me, but I definitely don't understand it, and I would like to. So I don't know, maybe you can reach out to me later or something, because I really don't understand how, like, that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to belabor it either, but so happy to explain it. But fundamentally, we're getting the way that the way that school education is funded in the state then is so built in and structural that they bolt things onto it along the way. So when they decided that they wanted to have charter schools back in the day, they created a system that built into that. So they said, all right, well, the tax dollars follow the kids, and so where the kids are is where the money goes, and so those are Attleboro kids, the money goes to Attleboro, but then they created a system that funnels that money to where the kids actually go.
Right.
And so that's why it's like, the decision to do that, which makes sense on a certain level, is the challenge, for us, because we don't have visibility to that.
Well, there's no way for you to predict that could happen again next year or in reverse.
Yeah, the numbers go up and down, and we just have to live with it. But it's part of the volatility of the system, which when you're in a community that's padding that number by 20%,
right,
you can live with a little bit of that. But when you're up against the bone like we are, every a handful of kids can make the difference in terms of whether or not we're whole or not. So It's part of the
$1
challenge
million
of
isn't
being
supposed
so
to be a
underfunded.
lot of money in a $114 million school budget, but it is because of how tight we live and how close to the margins we survive. I get that. Thank you.
I think it's also noteworthy, like the number of students that do attend Foxborough decreased drastically when this building was built. And at that time, prior to this building, we were also paying credits to Tri-County Regional for the CTE students that we had to send out of district, and bringing them back in helped to boost numbers. But that fluctuation, to Mr. Sawyer's point about the volatility, the year to year that the calculation focuses on year to year enrollment is where it becomes so much more unpredictable for a district like ours, where we don't have that flexibility.
I can also mention that this also explains why Foxborough Charter, for the first time in my tenure as superintendent, and as long back as anyone can remember, under the law, they are allowed to ask us for the mailing information for our students so that they can market directly to them. And they've never done that before. They did this year. So
they did this
seems
year.
like they noticed that they're missing some kids.
They did this year, as in during fall 2025?
This fall, yeah.
Okay, all right.
First time ever.
Okay.
Well, first time in my time.
And they've been here since 2000?
Longer than that. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what year, but they've been here a while, yeah.
Okay.
At this stage.
Any other questions or comments? Does that make sense, Mr. Bennett?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
You'll reach out.
Yeah. But, I mean, we're going to be talking about the budget a number of times between now and when we approve it, so
Still hope for me, Mr. Chair. We'll figure it out.
But I think as we get further into the process, as things become more clear, it may even help shape the questions a little more easily to fully, or to the best we can, understand everything. Thank you.
All right, so my third item is about restraints. As the committee is aware, the state has new regulations on restraint that go into effect on August 17th of 2026. The administration participated in a training for all of our administrators on January 22nd. This is our second training. The first we received back in August, which made us aware of the upcoming change, and then this was further action for us to help to prepare for the coming change. I wanted to update the committee on my takeaways from that experience. I know that you're going to be talking about restraints as part of the teaching learning subcommittee report, but this all happened after that, so hopefully I'm not covering the same ground too much. The first thing I wanted to notify the committee of is that the change in the regulations really aren't a substantive change to the rules around restraint. There's one minor change, but it doesn't really result in anything of any real substance. The significant change in the regulations is really about what we currently call our timeout spaces, right? The use of timeout as a practice. That's the significant change, and it is a big one. I would say that it really starts with a very key distinction that for what we call timeout now, that practice is only allowed under the new regulations if it is voluntary. If students agree to go and are allowed to leave upon arriving there, right? That it was a significant change from what happens now, and under the new regulations, for it to be considered timeout requires that it is a voluntary act. If it is involuntary, which is currently often the case, it is no longer called timeout under the regulations. It's defined as seclusion. And under the new regulations, seclusion, which is an involuntary timeout, is prohibited without prior consent. Now, that's one of several requirements that the regulations have added, but that's, to me, the significant one. So, as of August 17th, we cannot escort a student to timeout involuntarily unless we have satisfied a whole set of conditions, which, starts with parental consent. So this is a significant change, and I'd like to talk through a little bit about what it means, because it's something we should prepare ourselves for. But first, I think it's really important that I reiterate something that has already been said, which is that restraints are by their nature, traumatic for everyone involved, right? When you restrain a student, it is a traumatic moment for the student, for any other students in the area who are witnessing it, and it is absolutely traumatic for the adult or adults involved in the restraint. And it is for this reason that no one enjoys it, that no one is comfortable with it, that as a district, we take every possible step to prevent the need for restraint, right? Because nobody wants to see it happen. It is only used when there is a threat of imminent, serious physical harm. And to be clear, and this is not something that we talk a lot about, but I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't well known. Our students go home every day and tell their parents about what's happened in class. And so, I think there is a wider awareness of the conditions in some of our classrooms. In this district, our staff are bitten, punched, kicked, and spit at every day. Every day. And it is under those conditions that we try very hard to de-escalate students and help them to get back on track without the need to restrain them. But when students present themselves as a harm to the staff, to their peers, or themselves, staff do have to step in and take action. Now, well before a restraint is enacted, it is our duty to try our best to de-escalate that situation. And in most cases in this district, that's exactly how things end. But occasionally, that's not the case, unfortunately. And our most successful strategy for avoiding a restraint and helping a student to get back on track is to escort them to a timeout space and let them calm down. That's the common practice we've been using. It is the preferred strategy in the district currently to avoid a restraint. And the state is very emphatically telling us that that is no longer, as of August 17th, an option for us. Now, sometimes when a situation arises in a classroom where escorting the student isn't available to us, we evacuate classes. And again, back to, I know families are aware of this because students go home and report that today, student was upset and we all had to leave the classroom, right? Because again, when that's something that we can do in time, when we can't escort a student out of the situation, that's an opportunity as well to avoid a restraint. But as a result of our inability to use timeouts, what is almost certainly going to happen next year is that we're going to see an increase in those evacuations. So we're going to have families get more reports of the need to evacuate a room as a way of avoiding the need to restrain when a student is presenting themselves as dangerous, right? And the other is that when students are threatening harm to anyone present, there will be more restraints. And so this is the, I think, unintended consequence of this policy change. But regardless of how it plays out, because Attleboro will be in no other situation, no different than any other district, we are going to be compliant, and we did receive the grant, $50,000, and that will be used for training in the district as we prepare for August 17th to be compliant on that moment. So a lot to work through, a lot of very concerned staff in the district, about how the inability to use timeout is going to play out across the district in our classrooms. But, you know, as a district, we have a responsibility to follow the rules, and we will be ready, and we'll do so effectively for next school year.
Thank you. As Mr. Sawyer mentioned, as part of our teaching and learning subcommittee, we're going to get a report based on their discussion from their meeting on January 13th. And that will include a lot of, that's going to be a more data process-driven report. So I do want to open up for questions to Mr. Sawyer, but I would say anything data process related, let's hold off as part, because some of those questions might be answered as part of the subcommittee report in a little bit. Superintendent Sawyer is taking this more from a whole district perspective. Any questions or comments from that perspective so far? I think, I'll wait until we discuss it more with the subcommittee report to provide some other thoughts, but last chance for any thoughts here. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted the committee to be aware of the nature of the change and the actions that the administration are taking to be prepared for it. So that had all transpired since the subcommittee meeting, so wanted to update the committee, and we will continue to keep you informed as we move forward.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Sawyer. Next item, as a follow-up to a previous meeting, and I apologize, I realize this is actually on the agenda twice, but as this was tabled from our, can't remember the exact date, but one of our meetings in January, I'll entertain a motion to approve the redistricting plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Comments and questions? Mr. Storrs?
Mr. Chair, I have a little bit, a page worth of comments if I could. So yeah, we talked about this back in January, and I had a lot of questions, a lot of concerns with the information and the data that was provided at the time. I do want to say thank you to Ms. Barella for facilitating a conference call with the vendor. Mr. Dominci also attended that as well. I would say when we first approved this last year, I was hoping that the process was going to include looking at classroom space to determine square footage and appropriateness per the law per student, because every student is supposed to have a certain square footage for a classroom. The vendor indicated they did not do that. That was out of scope from their point of view. So they just strictly used the contractual limits from the teachers union, which is 25 students at kindergarten, 26 at first grade, and 28 for all the other grades. So they did not look at the classroom spaces at all. The vendor, I was also hoping that this would be something that would look out 10 years, if not longer, but the vendor indicated the reason why they only looked at 5 years is because of known birth rates and they 5 years of data, and they know that those 5 years are going to lead into kindergarten, first grade, and so on. So that's why they only focused on 5 years. They didn't want to guess at birth rates. They just wanted to use known data. So that did make a little bit of sense. Again, I was hoping this might be something that would last us, much longer out, but I understand why they only focused on those 5 years. I think it is important to mention that the vendor's projection have every single classroom in all 5 of our elementary schools being used starting next year. This year, there's one classroom available in one of the schools. I don't recall which one. But starting next year, all classroom space in all 5 of our buildings will be used. Not necessarily at capacity, but will be used, and that lasts for all 5 years of their projections going forward, which means there's no existing empty classrooms that are sitting there waiting for students to go into if we needed it. If we needed it, we'd have to come up with something if we needed an extra classroom in a school. And what that would be, who knows. Anyway, so ultimately, after going through everything with the vendor, I still have 2 concerns. One is Hill Roberts, and it's mostly due to the large development on Newport Avenue, the Atlantic Golf development. The first map that was provided, it showed that a large area of the County Street and the Phillips Street, all those neighborhoods off of those, were being removed from Hill Roberts and going to Studley, and that held true. And that made sense because this new development is supposed to put in about 306 units that will all go, and all the students from those would go for elementary school to Hill Roberts alone. The projections from the vendor is 62 new students into Hill Roberts. Now, that's not going to happen in 1 year or 2 years. This is going to be a progression, but we're going to get to the point where it's 62 new students in the one school. So it made sense to take a huge area, the whole County Street and Phillips Street and Leawood Lane and all that, and move it to another school. They moved it to Studley. Then we got that updated map. If you remember at that meeting, there was confusion regarding the old map and the new map and all that other stuff. The new map had this large neighborhood on the south end of South Main Street being taken away from Thatcher and be given to Hill Roberts, so it cut in half the amount of space that they initially had opened for Hill Roberts. That was a little confusing to me. Why they would, I understood why they opened, they created so much space, but then they halved the amount of space that they opened. My second concern is Studley, and they're getting that large area from Hill Roberts, County Street and Phillips, but they're also getting the area that Mr. Bennett referenced during that meeting, which is the neighborhood that is directly adjacent to Willett School. That is currently attending Willett. They're being moved into
like 5th Street.
Right, all of that, all the way. And that's getting moved into Studley as well. So right now, they're walkers to Willett. You can see Willett from that neighborhood, but now they're going to Studley. The distance from Studley, from what I was able to find on the map, is anywhere from about 3/4 of a mile to about 1.5 miles at the far. Per our policy, anything a mile or more is automatically bus eligible. Plus, all of kindergarten is also bus eligible. So I felt very strongly that it was likely that that was going to lead to additional buses. I think it is important to note that from some of the comments, some members seem to believe that this redistricting was going to lead to a reduction in the large buses. In talking with the vendor and with Brittany, I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be status quo, maybe adding one, maybe two, but probably maybe zero. I hope. Okay, we're hoping it's neutral. But it did sound like there will be some relief on the small buses because instead of having to bus current students from their neighborhoods, away from their neighborhood school to a different school, that's going to be fixed as part of this process. So there's a benefit there. But the large buses, we will not see a reduction from the numbers that we're seeing. Anyway, so I believe that there may have been some better options. If we looked at this, if I had taken a look at this earlier, I would have asked these questions earlier. For example, the Willett neighborhood being moved to Studley, to me, that's not that logical. But I do understand, talking to the vendor, why they did this. It's a very congested area, and the numbers worked out in such a way. I explained I would have focused on the areas that's on the borders that are already being bused so that we wouldn't be possibly adding buses. Sounds like maybe we won't. But I will say I was happy to see that a lot of the things I was looking at, a lot of the things that I was questioning, the vendor looked at those same exact things, and it sounded like it was painful decisions on their part in relation to all those things I was questioning. So I do also understand that at this point, any change would be very disruptive. It's a domino effect type thing. You make one change, the next thing you know, you have to make another change and another change and another change, and it kind of turns over that whole apple cart of where we're at. So with that, I am going to support the proposal, but I do think that there are concerns still, and I wanted to voice those. I also believe that districting should maybe be something that the committee looks at. Possibly the Facilities and Infrastructure Subcommittee could look at this, like, say, every October once the numbers are known, because there are projections for the next 5 years, and we should stay ahead of it and know if those projections are holding true. So that's everything I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Storrs. And I know the part of the presentation in December that the administration made to the community referenced the need to do this to assess it every 5 years. So I think that's the perfect timeline, rather than doing it every year, which I can see being very disruptive for families. Doing it every 5 years.
Yeah, I'm definitely not recommending redistricting every year. I'm just saying keep a look at it and see if the projections are holding. That's what I'm saying.
Any other questions for the administration or comments on the plan? Mr. Domenici?
Yeah, just, I mean, Mr. Storrs and I, yes, we met with the vendor, which was great. I appreciated that opportunity. We drove around. We were looking at the different areas. I mean, and I spoke with Mr. Bennett about this because being a lifelong Attleboro resident that you are and I am not, and I'm sure I could say the same for Mr. Larson, I mean, you got 4 of the 5 elementary schools that are kind of close to one another. You could probably drive from one to the other in reasonable amount of time. And then Hill Roberts, of course, is in South Attleboro. But, you know, when these were built, that's where people lived. And the outskirts of Attleboro was more farmland and undeveloped. And over time, I mean, we're shaped kind of like a megaphone. South Attleboro's here, and it widens out as you get towards Norton and you get towards Rehoboth. And one of the things we did as well is just drive around the perimeter, because even just today, like, first and foremost, it's never good to, well, I don't know. We had to do the redistricting. I know there's going to be some impact. I know there's some families that are upset, and I know there are some places, especially in the elementary, where it seems like I can, you know, I'm right near this school, but yet I have to go to this one. But it's because of the boundaries that school has to cover. And trying to do that in the most efficient way while anticipating what growth is going to look like or numbers will look like in the next 5 years is, you know, you can make as much as you can and try to get it as factually right as you can. Until it happens, we don't know. From the buses, I wasn't necessarily thinking we were going to lose buses. I was hoping we'd have a more efficient way to utilize the buses we have, and it seems as if that will happen. So while maybe an area might need a bus where they normally didn't because they might have been able to go to a different school, the larger buses may be used in a more efficient manner. Hopefully that will amount with less time on the bus as needed. Some of the outskirt areas, I don't know how that's going to be solved. They're already going to the schools that they go to. And I think we're talking about, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was, you know, a couple of hundred students at the elementary level will redistrict, and about 70-ish students at the middle school in one targeted area. So I don't want to downplay if any families live in those areas that, you know, feel that impact or you know, and might not be happy about it. I do empathize with that because change can be tough, especially depending upon the year of a student. If a student's going into what you consider a transition year, that last year at their school before they move to the next level, that could be tough, a transition on top of a transition. So things that we have to be prepared for if folks come. And I know that the administration has been good about making time for families that have raised concerns. So, you know, I hope that continues, but we also have to look at the landscape of our buildings and the population that we have. And so it took 28 years to get to this point, and it seems like we'll have a commitment to do this a lot more frequently just to make sure. And I think as we do it like that, it'll be less impactful at those times. And those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Domenici. Ms. Johnson?
Thank you. Many of my thoughts echo Mr. Domenici's. So first I want to thank Brittany for the regular updates that you've provided the committee throughout this process, because it has been a lengthy process. And also this is something that we haven't done before, so we relied on the expertise of the vendor who this is what they do. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that even though that we may not be reducing the amount of large buses, to Mr. Domenici's point, they are going to be running more efficiently, so we're going to see gains there, not only monetarily, but for the benefit of the students, so that they're not on the bus as long, they're coming to school, hopefully less fatigued, ready to learn. So it's a holistic picture. Can you comment on that?
I'm sorry, Ms. Prella, do you mind coming up to the, just so double ACS can hear you? Thank you.
Yeah. Forgot about that. The big buses, like you mentioned, we might not reduce the amount of buses we have, just reallocate them to where we need. But a lot of our school full students are in our mini buses, and they're trucked across the city from one end to the other. So that's going to reduce, and we'll have more availability on those buses to take away some of our vendors that we have that supplement our mini buses when we don't have space. So we'll see a reduction there, or we're hoping to see a reduction there. So that's kind of where the busing will kind of be affected on that.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Bennett?
Thank you. So I just want to make sure I understand. There's no grandfathering clause or anything along the sort, right? Because we need to move them now in order to realize the benefit.
Yeah, if we grandfathered, it would have that domino effect.
It would take a long time for it to materialize. And you have a communication plan in place, so this won't be a surprise to anyone. There'll be no one showing up at the wrong school, hopefully, right, or minimize that.
Once everything, if it gets approved, we have a plan to send out letters to the families to let them know that they're affected, and then a letter from the principals will be shared for their new school that they'll be attending.
And some sort of a welcome to your new school, step-up day sort of thing, or whatever.
Yep, I'm not sure what the dates are, but the principals are all planning to have some sort of welcome night for the new families to kind of get a tour of the school and see what the new atmosphere will be.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll share those here as well, once we have those finalized. Thank you. Mr. Larson?
So, I appreciate everybody's comments. Let me say that first. I just want to clarify a couple things. So this started from us. We asked the administration to do this for us. So, I mean, we can request this again in the future anytime we want. We can wait 5 years, we can wait 10 years, we can wait 28 years. That's all on us. So just throw that out. Second thing.
Let's not do 28 again.
No, I'm not recommending that. I'm just throwing it as. I think we went into this knowing that there was not going to be any good answer for a lot of people, but we also knew that we couldn't keep doing what we were doing. So we were stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we knew that this outcome was going to come. We knew the positives for it, we knew the negatives for it, but the overwhelming, we had to do it because of where we were and what we were doing. Moving kids across the city in small buses was just ridiculous. I need to personally give a huge shout out to both Brittany and the O&I Council of the lab. They have worked on this for the last couple of years, and I think collectively have hundreds of hours into this process in meetings, in interviews. I was at one of the original RFP presentations when they went out to try to find vendors a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. And it's been an amazing process to watch and to get updates on. I've been getting updates every couple weeks on it. I actually got another one this afternoon at lab. They already have the letters, and they already know what students, what parents are going to be affected. They have the letters already drafted, ready to go. They're waiting on us at this point. They have a schedule. There'll be a first letter, there'll be a second letter. As Ms. Perella said, there'll be opportunities for the parents to come out and visit the schools, visit the staff, and see, any of the changes that are going to be implemented. I think this is going to be harder on the parents than the students, because I think students are they're pretty robust, and I think they're going to bounce around, and they might miss seeing their kid for, their friend for a year, but all of a sudden they're going to meet new friends, and then a couple years later at the next level, they're all going to get together again. I can remember growing up, there were 8 different elementary schools, I think maybe 9 different elementary schools in Attleboro, and so you never knew which one you were going to the next year. So I want to thank all of them, because I know how much energy they have into this program. And again, it's something we've asked them to do, and they did it. And in my opinion, they did a great job. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion that's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Perella. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our February 2nd, 2026 joint meeting with the Municipal Council. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, edits to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is our consent agenda. We have one item, so I will entertain a motion to accept the donation of furniture from Cardy's Furniture as described in the purchase order 0206607EY43 in the amount of $3,307.98 to the Quello Middle School for use in the library.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you to the Quello PTO for their efforts to work with Cardy's to get this sizable donation for new furniture in the Quello Library. If you have been to the Quello Library, you know the furniture could definitely be replaced sooner than later. So, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is our subcommittee meeting updates. First is our Teaching and Learning Subcommittee to report on their January 13th, 2026 meeting. I will turn it over to Subcommittee Chair Chris Frappier.
Thank you, Chairman Geddes. As was mentioned, this was the Teaching and Learning Subcommittee on January 13th. We discussed 3 topics that night. The first topic being a review of the changes to the Attleboro High School grading system. This was a project that started pre-pandemic and finally came to use with this current school year. Families have received at least 6 grading-related updates, and there have been multiple student sessions that have been held. The staff has also received professional development on the change as well, and recent feedback on the change was of a positive nature. There will be some more student feedback sessions scheduled towards the end of the year to see how it's going at that point. But overall, everyone seems to be catching the hang of it, and it's, overall, was a good update to receive. The second item we discussed at the subcommittee meeting was the APS artificial intelligence policy, or the potential APS artificial intelligence policy. So a team from APS attended the Massachusetts Computer Using Educators, or MassQ conference back in the fall to hear how other educators are utilizing AI. The big, I guess, elephant in the room is not everyone's using it, and if they are using it, they are not sure if they're going to keep using it in the current way. There's a lot that can be decided about this policy. APS did receive a peak cohort grant. This should help APS decide how to use AI within the district. So they're looking at creating an AI vision, and that's still in progress, which will be mentioned in a moment. AI requires a firm direction and not some knee-jerk reaction to what the latest updates are receiving. So they are creating an AI steering committee, or APS is creating an AI steering committee to identify the following: how to focus on student use and instruction, which AI platforms that are right for students and teachers and staff, a need to understand all the safety that needs to be deployed within AI tools, how to communicate the usage, and the mindset around the usage and how we can better enhance learning without replacing it or without making it a tool to do the academic work for the students. So those were the first 2 items. The third item we discussed were restraints, and as Superintendent Sawyer, some of these things you'll hear a refrain in some of what Superintendent Sawyer said earlier. We were joined by Mr. Palma and Mr. Heel. At the time of the meeting, APS was waiting to hear, but as of tonight, we know that we received a $50,000 grant from DESE to support the special ed and ABT team on getting updates to the timeout regulations and get updated training with how that's going to work. A 2024 DESE audit confirms that there were 0 timeout rooms that had locks on them. There's a plan to evaluate timeout rooms this spring to identify if rooms need to be moved to be closer to the programs that need to use them more frequently, or more often, rather. APS is prepared to meet the new regulations and will be submitting policy changes after reviewing it with legal counsel to be considered by the policy subcommittee in the upcoming future. And in regards to the training, they are moving to a blended learning module that will increase the number of staff that can be trained from 10 to 14. This will allow more staff in the district to achieve safety certification. The initial training is 16 hours, and the follow-up training is 8 hours. Those are hours that the educators will not be in the classroom, so they need to stagger the training throughout the year. That's why not everyone can get trained all at once. Okay, so restraints and reporting. So this is just some detail about the restraints and reporting. There is a policy used by DESE for the definition of restraint and reporting, and that is 603 CMR 46.00. That is the updated regulation that was changed and will go into effect, or full effect, this August. The uses of restraint, and we'll talk a little bit more of the numbers in a moment, but uses of restraint are reported to central office, who in turn reports it up to DESE. After review, DESE may publish the information on their website, and I say may because it's important to note that if fewer than 6 individual students are restrained at a given school, the data isn't published on the website. That is, I believe, for anonymity or to make sure the sample size is accurate to not direct to any individual student that may have been restrained at that school. So if you're looking at the DESE reporting for restraints, there are a lot of dashes in the data, and only schools that have more than 6 individual restraints will be reported on that website. And I need to switch over to my other notes, I apologize. And you mentioned some data, Chairman, so I wanted to make sure we went over that. So within, let's see, overall within the school year, and this is reported on the DESE website, in 2022 to 2023, there were 45 students that had a total of 224 total restraints. In 2023 to 2024, there were 44 students with 258 total restraints. In 24 to 25, that was the last school year, there were 67 students with 374 total restraints. And as of publishing a few weeks ago, we had 27 students with 125 total restraints, which leads to a projection to be more around the 2022-2023 year, with around 270, 280 being the estimate of restraints again. It's not something you forecast, it's not planned for. As is discussed, restraints are traumatic for everyone is involved. And just another, not hint, but another item about restraints, they're often concentrated at the elementary school and early middle school age. This is ages traditionally where students have difficulty expressing discomfort, and restraints kind of peter off as they go into the higher grades of the schools. And that concludes my, do I open for questions? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Mr. Storrs.
Thank you, Mr. Rappi. Yeah, I looked at some data that was provided to the committee. You know me, I get data, I plot it. So I plotted the data. The thing I wanted to look at was, are the number of restraints, the number of students being restrained, does it coincide with the number of special education students within the schools? The only data I really had for that was MCAS data, but as I think you guys all know, I track that every single year, so I was able to go into that data. Again, it's only 3rd grade and 4th grade. But I was able to plot that as well to see if the data aligns, and it does not. And I think it makes sense that it does not. So, for example, in this 2025 year, Thatcher had the highest number of the special education subgroup of students in the 3rd and 4th grade, which is probably the same in the 2nd grade, 1st grade, and kindergarten, more than likely. Yet they were the lowest number of restraints. While Studley, for example, they were the 2nd lowest number of special education students, but they had the highest number of restrained students and restraints. So the point being that the total number of special education students did not directly correlate to the number of restraints and the number of restrained students. So what I gained from that, and what I want to verify is the case, is it seems like it's very programmatic or student-specific, meaning you could have the fewest, the least amount of special education students and have the higher number of restraints dependent on the student population. Is that a fair way to look at it?
I would defer to administration on that one.
Yeah, Mr. Hill, do you mind coming up? Did the question
Yeah,
make
could you
sense?
repeat the question for me?
Sure,
Sorry.
sure. So I was looking at the data, and from what I found was the total number of special education students within a school does not seem to correlate directly to the number of restraints within that school. So it seems, based on that it's more either the program that's within the school or the student-specific of the population within that school. So is that correct, that you could have the lowest number of special education subgroup in a school and yet the highest number of restraints because it doesn't directly correlate?
Yeah, it's program. It really is program specific. Studley has our SSC program, which has a high number of restraints, while what you're saying with the lowest number of special education students. So it really is individually and programmatically based.
That makes sense. And, I mean, there was some, some outliers, like supposedly this last year, of the total number of restraints, 212 were at Studley. But it sounds like from what you just said, that's the reasoning is because of that specific program. And last year, they were a high number as well, 82. But the year before that, they were down at 17 number of restraints. So that's a big jump over 3 years. Did that program get moved there, or did that program change in any way?
No, it's year to year and student specific, right? So, year to year, like you said, it can change from year to year and based on what, the student characteristics and the student needs are. So that does change. And you can see the data over the past 3 years. Like this year, we're down to 27 students throughout the district, down from 67, right? So we're really looking at each individual student, their needs, and what we can do to identify antecedents and put interventions in place prior to, getting to the last resort of a restraint. So it really is down to the student, not just the program.
Well explained. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other, sorry.
No. Anyone else?
Mr. Heel, can you talk a little bit more about the process as far as, I know the superintendent mentioned the need to de-escalate and the attempts to de-escalate a situation, and you referenced programmatic student-specific supports that the district is looking at. One, from a reporting perspective, what does that process look between building, central administration, classroom, building, and central administration? And also, how has your role as a compliance officer evolved to fit into the team that works with this process?
So at the building level, if there is a restraint, the administration will send me the restraint the same day. I will get notification. I will make sure that restraint is communicated to the family through via telephone or email on that very same day. That report is written up and sent to me and to the family within 3 days. I review the report, look at the factors that resulted in that restraint. That goes to the family for their review, and then within 5 days, it gets uploaded into the DESE portal. And then I oversee all of that in a compliance log that we have to make sure that everything is compliant with DESE. In terms of looking at students and their specific needs, I meet with building the central office administrative team, specifically special education, once a month to review who's been the students who have been restrained for that month. We focus on every single student. Primarily, we look at students who have had more than one restraint to look at what are the common factors that are happening with that student, and then putting interventions in place to make sure that we are using the least intrusive interventions that we can. I think that has resulted in less students being restrained this year, which I think is obviously every student that we're not restraining is a positive thing, right? So we've gotten that number down, and we have specific plans in place for each individual student right from the moment a restraint is happening. So there's a lot of oversight within the building, within the district level, and with special education and families.
Sorry, I took over for a moment there.
You're good.
Go ahead.
No, I have no more.
I didn't have any questions, but.
All right, cool. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Next item on the agenda is our Policy and Personnel Subcommittee. For an update on their February 3rd meeting, I will turn it over to Subcommittee Chair Storrs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, the subcommittee met on the 3rd of February. The first item was conducted by Mr. Geddes and was the re-election or the election of a chair. Thank you to my fellow committee members for re-electing me. This meeting focused on continuing our 2-year policy review cycle. Administration has done a great job with that, as well as the state guidance on our CT admission policy. And we also took a look at the Senior Director of Family Engagement job description. Everything was voted out of the subcommittee unanimously. So the following motions, they all either align with masks policy, and we are not looking to make any changes, or they might have some differences per what we do in the district, but again, we're not looking to make any changes, so we're looking to note the review date. I'll read them all, and then I'll take them as one motion, unless somebody wants me to break one out. BHE, use of electronic messaging by school committee members. CA, administration goals. CB, school superintendent. CBI, evaluation of the superintendent. CCB, staff relations. CH, policy implementation. CHA/CHC, development and dissemination of procedures. CHD, administration and policy absence. And CM, School District Annual Report, and CBD, Superintendent's Contract. Does anybody want me to take any of those separately? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. We had some others where there are just some minor edits, so let me go through each of those. Policy CE, Administrative Leadership Teams, Councils, and Committees, there was a minor edit. Some minor edits to align with mask, and we removed a non-applicable legal reference at the bottom. So I will put that one up for discussion. Any discussion? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Next, we had policy JFAA. This is this is a policy that we just recently approved, the initial one. Let me find it here. JFAA, help me out. There it is. JFABG, Career and Technical Education
Code.
Yeah, right. Career and Technical Education Admission Policy. So yeah, we're recoding, but also the state has provided some guidelines. It's quite interesting that they're focusing on, this is all about CTE admissions. So they're looking at things from the way you would look Bristol Aggie, so from more of a regional aspect. I think we tried to explain our exploratory, which is, everybody knows, all ninth graders get to experience the exploratory to get a feel for all the different vocational programs that we have, and some of them may fall in love with something and want to take it on in the sophomore through senior years, and for many students, that might lead to a career path like it did for my son. But every student pretty much gets into exploratory. We want them in exploratory. But it's hard for the state to understand that because it's so different than the other, like the Bristol Aggies. Because for those, when you get accepted into those schools, you're getting accepted into a specific program. And as everybody understands, that's one of the reasons why we are always looking at where it makes sense to expand our offerings. And we've gotten up to the number of vocational because we see that we were losing students to a school like Bristol Aggie or to other schools. And we said that's a program we want to bring into the house, which we've done. So they get accepted into those types of schools for a specific program. That's not the way exploratory works. And I don't think, it's safe to say that the state doesn't fully grasp that.
We've had to adjust, so a couple of the other high schools that also are comprehensive, we've reached out to them and learned that we had to make a distinction between the exploratory process in terms of like how that is done in a comprehensive high school versus how a lottery is provided in order for a student to be able to even enter into a particular program at a vocational school.
Right. Perfect. So ultimately, we could have gone back and forth and tried to argue with them and get them to see the light, but we decided it was better to put the language that they were recommending into the policy in a way where it's not going to really affect us. So their language that they were recommending had to do with a lottery system, if necessary, is how we handled it. And then also that if a parent felt they wanted to, what's the word I used? if they wanted to appeal the process, because, for some districts like Bristol Aggie, you may not get into your choice. That won't happen here because our exploratory, that's not the situation. So, but we put in the wording in a way where if it's necessary, if it's needed, those things are now in there. We don't expect that will ever be the case, but the language effectively appeases the state while it doesn't affect what we are doing here in the city. Very good. So, does anybody have any questions regarding policy JFABG? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, unanimous. And lastly, there was one other policy that I need to talk about, and that's policy CCA. This was a simple title update to coincide with new job description updates, so no changes to the responsibilities or salary or anything of that nature. It's really just lines and title changes. So policy CCA, any questions? Everybody gets to be a senior? All right.
Sorry.
Yep, go ahead, please.
To be clear, the title changes had already happened.
Yes.
This is just an update of putting the title changes into CCA.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct,
okay.
yes. And we did take, for example, we had the operations director and our director of finance separate, but one is reporting to the other, so we kind of made that move as well. That's, yep. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any, okay, that was unanimous. And lastly, we looked at the Senior Director of Family Engagement job description. It was provided in the packet to the members. Again, this is a job that already existed, so it's not a new job. It's just the description was updated. So any questions regarding the job description? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. All right, and that, Mr. Chairman, concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Storrs. Our final subcommittee report tonight is from Finance and Budget from their February 4th meeting, and for that, I will turn it over to Subcommittee Chair Larson.
Thank you. Subcommittee met. Ms. Perola took us through the monthly budget reports as we currently stand, with the exception of some transportation that we've talked about in the last few meetings. The rest of the budget is performing as we expect it to. There's nothing jumping out at us at this point that we need to be worrying about, which was always good to be. We got into a further discussion about the governor's proposed budget for FY27. We also had the advantage of we had the budget director from the city attending the meeting also, so the committee was able to have a great discussion with both ourselves, Ms. Perola, and Mr. Lord. We got into some of the fine detail of what Mr. Bennett was just discussing earlier about the charter school reimbursement and the charges and how that affects the budget, how transportation affects the budget, hoping that we're going to have some savings in transportation with the redistricting and how that possibly will affect things. The superintendent briefly spoke about some of the credits that the city can take on behalf of doing some of the school district's business for us, i.e. like payroll and some of the other filings. So we kind of reviewed all the pluses and minuses of where we were hoping to see some of those credits and some of those charges, and we're going to continue to monitor that, and we'll be reporting coming out relatively soon with where we think that's going to land, but we are still facing a budget shortfall at this point. We're continuing to have discussions with the city. Those discussions are very positive. Not that we know how it's going to end, but I mean, we're all in a very united place as to how we want to see it end, and it's just working out the details with them at this point. So obviously more to come on that. We do have a number of motions coming forward. These were approved at the committee level, and so I'll go through them. You have all the backup information. I'll try to give a little bit of the detail as we go on some of these. The first motion to approve the rate request in the memo from Ms. Lynch dated January 21st, 2026. And this has to do with the Children's Center, is that correct? So this is the Children's Center that's here at the high school. Does anyone have any questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The next one is to do with the fee for service and the bus that people can pay to ride onto. So entertain a motion to approve the fee for service rates for the FY27 school year as outlined by the memo from Mr. Furtado dated January 28th, 2026.
So moved.
Second? Second. All right. Part of this is something that we look at on an annual basis. Sometimes we have to make moves, sometimes we can hold the line. As you know, the fee for the buses, the contract, it's a 5-year contract. It's firm for 3 with 2 one-year options. Goes up between 4% and 5% every year, so we try to, not do this every year, but we do have to keep current with the charges that we're being charged by the contractor to provide the service. So that the increases that you've seen reflect that, the contracted rate increases. Any other questions? Mr. Bennett.
Thank you. I did notice that was a 3-to-1 vote in the subcommittee on the fee for services.
Yes, it
I'm
was.
kind of curious what the discussion was and how that came about.
The discussion was from one of the members of the committee that, again, we're going back to the parents with another fee and another charge. It is a voluntary fee. I mean, they can either choose to take advantage of it or not. So there was one individual that was concerned that, again, we were asking the parents for this money to come forward. We explained to the member that, it is part of the fact that the contract, there is an increase every year in the contract, and that we need to stay competitive and, not be subsidizing that with the rest of the budget. And the member was comfortable with that explanation, but still felt that they wanted to vote against it.
Sure. Thank you.
That's the short version of the discussion that we had.
Perfect.
Any other questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is motion to send to the municipal council for approval a prior year invoice in the amount of $32 to be paid from the school department's fund.
So moved.
You're given backup information. We will continue to have these, hopefully not as late as we did last year, but they will continue to come through. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. And lastly is, and this is kind of an annual event, we're just doing it 2 months earlier because it was brought to our attention, even though we do this on an annual basis, giving everyone 30 days to close hundreds of accounts. They requested that we do this a little earlier in the system so they can actually start to get a jump on it. It seemed like a reasonable request. We chatted about it at the committee, and the committee voted unanimously to approve it to the full committee. So the motion is to approve to allow the business office to perform budget transfers between all lines to close out the FY26 budget year.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Storrs. I didn't realize I skipped one.
I was going to let you know.
Oh, I appreciate that. So, one additional, we have a memo to approve the proposed increases for the abacus rates for the FY27 school year as outlined in the January 2026 memo from Ms. Laramie, the abacus coordinator.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Jen, did you have your hand up?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, though.
No problem. I missed
I mean, I
that.
did, but no.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Chairman, that's the extent of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson.
Next item on the agenda is open forum. This is a time when members of the public may address the school committee to provide updates, share information, or express concern on matters within the school committee's jurisdiction. All speakers are encouraged to present their comments in a respectful manner. Open forum is not a time for committee members to engage in dialogue with members of the public. Guidelines for open forum are available to you. Please know that we are interested in what you have to say, but we cannot respond without background information. Each open forum participant will be given 3 minutes to address the committee. Please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Joey Ford, 44R Smith Street, founder and leader of Parent Data Force, independent educational watchdog reform initiative. Tonight, I just want to talk about a few different things. For one, I handed you guys 9 years of data regarding restraints. I asked for you guys to give a lot of questions and get to the bottom of why there were discrepancies and why the rates are so much higher for Attleboro compared to the rest of the state. Mr. Storrs, thank you for your efforts with this. I'm a little bit underwhelmed with the rest of the committee tonight. Chairman Geddes, members of the school committee, tonight I'm restating a simple request that should not be controversial. Before any drafting or redlining of a revised restraint and seclusion policy begins, you must hold a public community forum, separate from and in addition to the listening session you've already agreed to. Because once drafting starts, the district is no longer listening, it's committing, choosing definitions, thresholds, procedures, reporting language, oversight, and grievance pathways. If you draft first and listen later, the forum becomes a formality, a box check, a way to say, we heard you, after the direction is already set. This needs to happen up front, and there's another reason this is urgent. The new laws and new scrutiny are directed especially at seclusion. That makes it even more important that the committee gain real insight from experienced stakeholders, people who have lived it, implemented it, witnessed it, and been harmed by it, and tried to prevent it. If we don't understand what seclusion looks like in practice, how it starts, how it ends, how it's documented, how kids and staff experience it, then any policy revision risks being superficial. Or worse, it risks creating loopholes and ambiguity right when clarity is needed. This cannot be a one-way microphone line where people speak at you and go home. It needs to be a two-way dialogue, structured, moderated, and time-efficient, where the people most impacted can be heard and where the committee can ask follow-up questions and actually learn what policy looks like on the ground. Because restraint and seclusion aren't academic topics, they're not process issues. They are human experiences. And for many families and staff, they do not end when the bell rings. They follow people home. They show up as fear, avoidance, regression, nightmares, and distrust. They leave scars on kids, on staff, and on classrooms full of witnesses. And yes, this is going to be uncomfortable. It should be. But let's be honest about the trade-off. No amount of discomfort from loss of narrative control, bad optics, or a tough public conversation will ever compare to what it feels like for a child to be physically controlled, isolated, or terrified in a place that is supposed to be safe. So here's what I'm asking for clearly. 1, a community forum held before any drafting occurs, before revisions are proposed, before language gets locked in. 2, all stakeholders are welcome. Students, parents, teachers, paras, related service providers, administrators, witnesses, past students, advocates, everyone. 3, anonymous submissions must be allowed and accommodated because the fear of retaliation is real. And number 4, we need to make it efficient. A trained moderator, clear ground rules, group themes, time segments, and a public summary of what was heard and what actions will follow. Let's take the dunk. Let's stop dancing around constraints and get direct answers about ground-level experiences, especially around seclusion, so we can protect children, protect staff, and protect this district's reputation by proving publicly that we can face the hardest issues head-on. Please schedule the forum before drafting begins. Attleboro has a rate 42 times the state average for restraint.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee?
Jennifer DeGeorge, Attleboro, McKay Street. So I've spoken to you guys numerous times in regards to my son who was at Attleboro Public Schools. I'm going to support Joey in his request to have that open communication before you make that policy. Because as a parent who has stood before you and expressed numerous concerns about my child's safety in the school, and also as a parent who has worked very well with the schools in supporting them and the communication with them to benefit my child and getting him the support and everything that he needs, I think before you make a policy decision, you should really hear how the impact of the seclusion, the restraints, have an impact on these families and these kids and their mental well-being. I've watched my son go from this happy-go-lucky, beautiful kid, so excited to start kindergarten, to being restrained without me knowing, and not getting informed, and not getting a notice, to find out that him coming home and absolutely refusing for a year to allow us to hug him because it was, I'm not going to mention a name, a principal who was out of school, who's no longer in Attleboro Public Schools, was restraining him so hard that he would call his dad by that person's name to tell him, easy, you're hurting me. I shouldn't have to deal with that, and neither should my husband have to deal with that. So before you make a policy, you should really hear the impact that the seclusion, the restraints have on these families and how it affected mentally my child, who is now thriving and loving school again because of the support that I had to advocate so much to get. It shouldn't have to be like that. So I'm asking as a parent who has worked well with numerous members of this community and these schools, just to hear us out, hear the good, the bad, the ugly. And as parents, we need to support our teachers and we need to work with them. And everybody needs to do what's in the best interest of the child and the teachers, because they can't do their job without the support of the kids being supported. So that's what I'm asking. So before you make a decision, just have that open communication, whether it's with one parent or 5 parents. Just reach out, say, hey, what is your input? I want to hear your story before we make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Here, there is someone.
Yep, we're.
Yeah. Thank you.
Erin Alfred, 6 Laura Drive. Good evening. I'm here tonight to advocate for student safety, promoting the elimination of seclusion and restraint, the proper use of timeout spaces, and the use of trauma-informed education. Now that it's been publicly acknowledged that inappropriate use of timeout spaces alone is harmful, we have an important opportunity. We must now build a framework that reflects what we know, but how? With new regulations being implemented in August to limit timeout spaces and reinforce that they should not be used alone or routinely, I respectfully ask what steps our district plans to take to reduce reliance on timeout spaces, seclusion, and restraint. We already went over numbers, but according to publicly available 24-25 DESE restraint data, several schools in our district have reported significant numbers of restraint incidents, including over 200 incidents in one elementary school. Under Mass law, restraint and seclusion was intended as last resort emergency safety interventions, not frequent behavior responses. The use of positive behavior intervention supports on a broad scale has helped create consistent expectations for many students. However, universal approaches do not always meet the complex neurological, sensory, or trauma-related needs of all learners. Modern evidence-based practices focus on understanding the root cause of behavior and teaching regulation skills rather than relying on removal or isolation. We have a population of students who are often labeled for behavior when they are really showing is unmet regulation or support needs. Strengthen staff training beyond annual requirements. Reduce reliance on restrictive interventions and support students through co-regulation, skill building, and meaningful one-to-one BCBA support. Consultation alone has not prevented restraint. On timeout spaces, I urge the committee to request clear standards related to size, safety, and developmental appropriateness to ensure we prevent functional seclusion. It's our goal to prevent harm. We must demonstrate leadership by ensuring restraint and seclusion are used only when there is imminent risk of serious physical harm. Transparency, proactive communication, and data sharing are essential to building trust and partnership with families. I ask the school committee and the district to continue to publicly share restraint data, trends, and reduction goals, allow family review and public comment on policy changes, request clear dimensional standards from DESE, lead in trauma-informed and neurodiverse practices, and join the Alliance Against Seclusion and Restraint. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alfred.
there anyone else that would like to address the committee at open forum?
My name is Jason Alfred. Just real quick, when we're discussing the rules coming up in August, these aren't new rules or regulations. These are amendments. These aren't updates. These are amendments. These are rules that have been in effect that parents time and time again have come up and said to the school committee, to the administration, and they have been ignored. The fact that they need a grant to come into compliance means every single day that's passed, they've been out of compliance. The fact that you guys even need that is just mind-boggling. I mean, these are regulations you guys should have been following. The fact you haven't is ridiculous. Anyways, my name is Jason Alfred. I came here tonight with a prepared statement, and the longer I sit in there, the more I realize I don't even need the thing. I mean, I'm just, let me explain why I'm here. September of 2021, my son came home from school in kindergarten, 5 years old. I asked him how his day was. He says, "Dad, adults were chasing me around the hallway." He might have used grown-ups. I remember having the pit in my stomach going, what the hell is he talking about? Adults chasing you around in school? Makes no sense to me. And then, and I buried that away. Then comes February 2022, when I realized my son had been restrained multiple times, put in seclusion rooms multiple times, more times than they ever gave us reports for, more times than they ever called us, more times than we've been notified. That pit in my stomach came back up, and it was like, it made me feel embarrassed as a father that I let my child down that day because I didn't believe what he was saying could possibly happen. Because I put trust in the school district. What a fucking mistake that was. You guys are here to protect our kids. These regulations are not new. They should be followed. I'm sick and tired of pointing it out and being called an advocate and being blown off like I'm a problem. Everybody in here has the same goddamn story, and we haven't been meeting up to talk about it. This isn't something new. I don't have an issue with anybody who's trying to protect our children. What I have an issue with is people who turn their back to it, ignore it, pretend it doesn't happen, it's not an issue. You are complicit in it. The longer you turn around and look away and don't include parents in any of these decision-making processes, it's absolutely disgusting. We're the ones who have to deal with it. You guys go home after this. We're the ones. Has anybody on the school district ever had to worry that their child at when they get on the bus by 3:20 when they end the school day, that they don't get any calls? Get a sigh of relief because their child made it through that day? We had people restraining children, putting them in seclusion rooms that don't even have the proper training. In Thatcher, they told me who they used for training. Guess what? I called up. I called that place they allegedly used. Nope, Thatcher's never been here. This is the shit I've been getting fed. And you guys have been trying to gaslight it and make it like we're delusional. And we stand here and it's almost like, the superintendent's upset that, they can't just get forced into a timeout room now. We have to ask them. Boo-hoo, get over it. These are our children. We're done fucking around. The truth is not harassment. The truth is protection.
Thank you, Mr. Alfred. Is there anyone else here that would like to address the committee as part of open forum? Is there anyone in the virtual chat that would like to participate in open forum?
Yes, there is.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes. So my name is Andrew Kerr, and as always, I choose not to waive my Fourth Amendment right. Obviously, tonight, there have been a lot of concerned parents, and I think the school board should take what is being said and actually take action upon it. The school board and the school committee, just like the city council, they have these ridiculous procedures where you, Mr. Chairman, you say, this time is for us to speak to you, and you guys are not able to speak to us or respond in any way. That is incredibly contrary to the point of transparency and allowing the accountability in the public to be able to actually have a fruitful conversation. I think there needs to be a direct change in how these committees and these meetings work. And I agree with Mr. Ford and all of the other speakers that you guys use this cop-out, oh, well, this is the structure, this is the way it's been. Well, then change it. It makes absolutely no sense that you guys are here to serve the people of Attleboro. And when we come in here and we talk about things that are really meritorious, and deserve time and attention, you have the cop-out excuse, well, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you about it. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I have no idea why you guys are doing this. The second thing is, the other argument that the other speaker was making about why are we taking this $50,000 to get into compliance. The way that good schools, and good school districts, good schools that actually specialize in special education, the way that they work, when they have these timeout rooms, there's no locks on the door, first of all. That is like child endangerment. That should be an arrestable offense. It's a fire code hazard. You can't lock a child in a room. But they would have a camera. There would be someone standing at the door. These rooms are padded. There is protections that go into it. The parents are always involved in how these holds and these procedures work, and that is clearly not happening. I have no idea why you guys think that you guys can lay hands on people's children and not expect a dramatic response like the last speaker from all of these parents. I have no idea why you guys would think you could do that, but I really do think you should listen to Mr. Ford and the other speakers. There should be more transparency, there should be more accountability, and there should be more public input. And stop with these bullcrap cop-out excuses. We can't talk to you about these legitimate problems. That is stupid. You are public servants. Do your freaking job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kerr. So that will conclude open forum. Just for a matter of clarification, because Mr. Ford made reference to it, the committee has agreed to host a public session to hear feedback on policy JKA and the special education procedural manual. That is something the committee has already agreed to. There is no limit to who can attend. The scheduling has not been determined yet, but it is something that is going to happen. So any statement that the committee is not interested in hearing this goes beyond all of the opportunities. The school committee has email addresses publicly posted on the website to hear feedback from the community at any time. All of our subcommittee meetings are open to the public and are shared here at each meeting so that the community knows when they are happening. They can attend the meeting, hear the discussion firsthand. So I just wanted to clarify that statement. To that point, this Wednesday, February 11th, the Infrastructure and Facilities Subcommittee meeting will be happening, Ms. Nelson, that's happening here in the Zito conference room, correct? I'm sorry, 7 o'clock in the superintendent's conference room here in central office. We had to move because of negotiations. As a reminder, this Friday, February 13th, will be an early release day for the entire school district, but the Early Learning Center at Thatcher will not have school for some preliminary screenings. Next week, February 16th through February 20th, there is no school for the February break. The full committee will be meeting our next committee meeting will be Monday, February 23rd, here in the Zito conference room. Any other updates or notices from anyone on the committee? Seeing none, next on the agenda is executive session. The school committee will convene in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20A, 2 and 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting might have a detrimental effect. Collective bargaining may also be conducted. The committee will not return to open session following the executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. This will be a roll call vote. I will start with Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
Ms. Porto.
Yes.
Mr. Storrs. Mr. Larson.
Yes.
Mr. Geddes, yes. Mr. Domenici.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Frappier.
Yes.
Mr. Poor.
Yes.
Thank you. The committee will now go into executive session in the superintendent's conference room. Our open session is adjourned.